So you're thinking about buying a condo in Markham's booming market. It's exciting. But there's one question that can absolutely make or break your budget. What are you really going to pay every single month? The answer is a bit more complicated than you might think, but don't worry, we're about to make it crystal clear.
Okay, let's just jump right in. You found a condo, you love it, the list price looks pretty good, but is that the whole story? Spoiler alert, it's not. That monthly condo fee can completely change the affordability equation, and in Markham, those fees have their own unique story.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with why Markham's market is a bit of a puzzle, then decode what those fees actually cover. We'll look at what drives the cost up, the red flags to watch for, how to figure out your real monthly payment, and finally, why getting some expert help is a really smart move.
First things first, why is Markham such a special case? Well, over the last decade, places like downtown Markham and along Highway 7 have just exploded with new condos. And these aren't just basic buildings. They were designed to compete on lifestyle. That means they are packed to the gills with amenities, which creates a really specific and honestly often confusing landscape for condo fees.
So, keeping that in mind, let's break down what you're actually paying for. What in the world is a condo maintenance fee, anyway? Here's the key thing to understand. This isn't just about paying today's bills like landscaping or cleaning. A big and legally required chunk of that fee goes into something called a reserve fund. You can think of it as a mandatory savings account for the building's future, covering big-ticket repairs down the road. So you're paying for today and saving for tomorrow. Now just look at the range here. It's wild. From stacked townhouses to those gleaming high-rises, the cost can vary dramatically. You see a high-rise in downtown Markham? That fee could easily sail past $1,000 a month. Now, of course, these are just benchmarks. The actual number depends on some really important factors, which, you guessed it, we're getting into right now.
So what are those big factors? Let's break down the 4 main things that decide just how high, or if you're lucky, how low, your monthly maintenance fee is actually going to be. First up, amenities. Markham's newer buildings were sold on a lifestyle promise, and that means swimming pools, 24-hour concierge service, party rooms, you name it. And every single one of those awesome features has an operating cost, a maintenance cost, and it's all baked right into your fee. Here's the kicker. Even if you never set foot in the gym, you're still paying for it. Next up is the age of the building, and this one's kind of a double-edged sword. A brand spanking new building probably has lower immediate repair costs, which sounds great. But an older building might have already paid for huge expensive projects. The real danger with older buildings is what's called deferred maintenance. That's problems they haven't dealt with yet, basically creating a financial time bomb.
Building size also has a massive impact. I mean, think about it. A contract for property management or snow removal costs pretty much the same whether it's for a 50-unit building or a 350-unit one. In a smaller, more boutique building, that big fixed cost gets split among fewer owners, which can drive the per-unit fee way, way up.
And that brings us to the most critical factor of all, and it's one you will not see on the public listing. I'm talking about the health of the reserve fund. If that shared savings account is weak and a major repair comes up, like the roof or the underground garage, well, the money has to come from somewhere. And that means either a massive, sudden fee increase or something called a special assessment, which is just a fancy term for a surprise one-time bill for thousands of dollars.
This is so important, it really deserves its own section. How do you protect yourself from that kind of financial shock? Let's walk through the red flags you absolutely positively have to watch out for before you even think about making an offer.
Okay, here's your action plan. Step 1, get the status certificate. Think of it as the building's official financial report card. From there, you're going to check the health of that reserve fund and look at the fee trend. Have there been big, scary jumps in the last few years? Look for a history of those special assessments we talked about. And finally, actually read the board meeting minutes. Trust me, that's where you find the real story of what's going on. And when you're looking at that reserve fund, here's a hard number I want you to burn into your memory. Kind of think of it like a pass-fail test for the building's financial health. If the fund is less than 70% of what the engineers say it should be, that is a massive red flag. It's a sign that the building is falling behind and could be heading for some serious financial trouble. So with all of this in mind, how do you actually compare 2 different condos? You've got to stop looking at just the purchase price. You have to start thinking about the total carrying cost.
This slide just illustrates the point perfectly. Look at this. Condo A is $50,000 cheaper to buy, but with that $850 fee, it could easily cost you more per month to own than the more expensive Condo B.
You have to do the math. Your mortgage payment, plus the condo fee, plus property tax. That is your true monthly cost.
Let this one sink in for a second. A slightly higher fee in a really well-managed building with a healthy reserve fund can be a much better long-term value than a low fee in a building that's just kicking major expenses down the road. It's all about financial stability, not just finding the lowest number today. Look, reading a status certificate and trying to interpret a reserve fund study, it's not exactly easy. All these benchmarks and data points are great, but they don't tell the whole story. And this is where that specialized, local knowledge becomes absolutely invaluable. At the end of the day, the data we've looked at gives you a map of the market, but a true expert, someone who knows the individual buildings, their management history, their financial quirks, they can tell you if the specific condo you're looking at is actually a safe place to put your money.
And this is exactly why the source for this whole explainer, Kirby Chan & Co., specializes in this exact thing. An expert like Kirby Chan doesn't just show you listings, they give you real, data-driven guidance on a building's health and its true carrying costs. They leverage this deep knowledge of Markham's specific buildings to help you make a decision you can feel truly confident about.
Navigating the Markham condo market really does require a guide who can cut through all the noise. Having someone in your corner who actually knows the buildings and knows how they're managed, well, that can make a huge difference in the outcome of your investment.
So the next time you see a condo listing, you'll know that the purchase price is just chapter 1. The real story, the juicy stuff, is in the fees, the financials, and the building's future. The only question left is, are you ready to dig a little deeper and find out what that story really says?